Hello, Philadelphia. Spring is in the air, which means parks are about to be filled with runners, dog walkers, bike riders, and people fishing. Who watches out for the safety of Fairmount Parks? Find out on Protecting Our Community. Hello, and welcome to Protecting Our Community. I'm your host, Bryan Coyle. Our goal is to improve the quality of living by giving you the knowledge of the agencies and organizations that are here to protect you and your community. On today's show, we have Urban Park Ranger Supervisor Monica Hicks, Supervisor of the Northeast District for Philadelphia Parks and Recreation. Monica, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So Monica, tell me, how long have you been with the Park Rangers?
I've been a park ranger for 30 years.
30 years.
30 years.
Wow. And how did you get involved with the Park Rangers?
Well, when I joined the Ranger Corps, it was called the Philadelphia Ranger Corps. And it started out as a non-profit private organization. It was a youth development organization. And they gave you training for 2 years. They sent us to temple, paid for our books, gave us a stipend. So it was a really good program. So my mom kind of forced me into the program because it paid for school.
Okay.
But eventually I really came to enjoy it. And that's why I've been there for so long.
So you had no idea that you were going to last 30 years?
No, I was supposed to just be there for 2.
So you must really enjoy and love your work.
I do. I started out just because I love the city of Philadelphia. Like as a kid, I just loved everything about Philadelphia. I thought Philadelphia was the center of the universe. So when I became a park ranger and we did the cleanups and I learned about the history of the city and the history of the park, I just fell in love with it even more so. And yeah.
Wow. So what are the requirements of becoming a park ranger?
So the requirements are that you have 2 years of college. It can be in varied fields because we do a lot of different things. It could be if it's in security, it could be if you're into the environmental thing, or it could even be customer service because we do so many different things. A lot of experience can be applied to what we do.
So when you say 2 years of college, does it matter what kind of, major you have?
As long as it's something that we can relate back to what we do, and that could be like working with wildlife, working with children, doing programs, volunteer work, because we get put in so many different positions and do so many different things, we could kind of find a place for you at our organization.
Well, that's good. And then well spoken. You deal with so many different people and with the environments and so on. So what's the salary like and the benefits of a park ranger?
The salary for an urban park ranger, I'm really rusty on it because it keeps changing, but I would like to say that the starting salary is around $29,000.
Okay.
It's not as high as we would like it to be, but right now that's where it is. And the benefits are the health benefits they get through, I think they're with District Council 33. So the health benefits come through that. And it's pretty good. It's pretty good health benefits.
So I see you're in your uniform. Do they provide the uniforms for you?
Yes, they provide our uniforms. They provide hats, sweaters, everything except socks. That's the only thing we don't have to.
Not bad. Not a bad deal.
Right.
So can you go into some of the responsibilities of the Rangers?
The Rangers are responsible for basically being the eyes and ears of the police department. We look out for any wildlife that may be injured or may be being rescued from whatever could happen out there in the park. Also, we look out for people. We look out to make sure that everyone's following park rules and regulations. We also enforce curfew. We also are looking at the environment, making sure that there's no pollution. And we also look for any safety issues that could be at a playground or if a fallen tree, or even maintenance issues like if there's a roof that's sunken in on one of our rec centers or one of our pavilions. We look for those types of things.
That's a lot of responsibility.
Yeah.
So I understand Philadelphia Fairmount Parks is one of the largest urban parks in our country. Can you tell us how much of that area do you have to supervise?
So again, we've recently merged with the rec department. So our park, I would say the Pennypack itself is about 1,700 acres. And I think Tacony Creek Park is another park we're responsible for. I think that's about 800 acres. Don't quote me on that one. And then in addition to those parks of Pequessing, Tacony Creek, and Pequessing Creek, in addition to all the rec centers and all the pools and all the little neighborhood parks like Bradford Park and all the little areas throughout the Northeast, I'm not sure how many acres that adds up to, and I'm sorry that I don't know that, but that's a lot of territory.
So we did have a map up on the monitor with your territory. And then this is your territory.
Yeah, that's my district. That's the area that, well, right now I have 4 rangers. So there's 4 of us that are responsible for for the Northeast section of Philadelphia.
And that's quite a big of territory you have to cover.
Yeah, it is. It is, and we do a lot of driving. We don't do as much foot patrol and bike patrol as we would like to, but we do what we can. We do the best we can.
Understandable. So we have a PowerPoint that you provided, a 101 PowerPoint about the park rangers and everything that you do. So can we go through that?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, we are 156 rec centers and playgrounds. We have 143 neighborhood parks. We have 7 watershed parks. We have 223 miles of trails. We have 71 outdoor pools, 4 indoor pools, 404 ball fields, and 21 outdoor hockey rinks and 6 golf courses. We also have 662 football/soccer fields, 400 historic sites, 400 community gardens, 460 basketball courts, 3 environmental centers, 5 ice rinks, 277 tennis courts, and 25 computer labs. And
yeah, so what are these pictures of?
So those are various ways that we interact with the community. One of the things I really enjoy about being part of the Fairmount Park Rangers and also being a member of Parks and Recreation is that we provide the memories. Like, we have a great city, but where we provide the fun part. Like, we get to interact with the community, we get to go to historical sites, and we kind of like instill a sense of ownership and pride in the city. Some of the services that are provided are facility, landscape, and site maintenance, citizen engagement, tree planting and pruning and removal, permitting special events, concessions, and youth employment. These are like, this area is like the money maker for us. So it's special events and venues, the Oval, which is in front of the Art Museum.
Okay.
The Parkway gets used, that's like for everything. Everything happens on the Parkway. Like for our 4th of July parade, Made in America, it's a very popular spot. And then there's the Dell Music Center, which is over by Strawberry Mansion. And then there's the Broad Street Run that begins, I believe, somewhere not too far from here, and goes all the way down to FDR Park.
Yeah, well, that's a quite large event right there itself.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, we also have the Mummers Parade, which is on Broad Street, but because Center Square, a lot of people don't know that City Hall, that square is also part of Fairmount Park. That's considered Center Square. You have the 5 squares, and City Hall is on Center Square, which is why we included that. Then the Horticultural Center is over in West Park. That's a really beautiful place to visit, a great place to have a wedding. Then there's the Carousel House, where we have a lot of events for people with special needs. And one of our newer venues is Venice Island, which is like a performing arts venue where you can do all kinds of great things.
There. Nice, very nice facility
right
there.
It is nice. We also have a pump track.
So tell me about the pump track.
So the pump track is over in West Philadelphia, over like off of the side of Parkside Avenue. And the point is, I guess, to not pedal. So you can kind of like go through this course without much pedaling if you do it right. I might have it wrong, but I think that was the purpose of the pump track, where you're just kind of going up and down.
Going up and down, just like gravity take you.
Yeah.
That looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Do you have to sign up for that, or is there a fee for that?
I'm not 100% sure, because that's in West Park, so that's kind of out of my area.
Okay.
But most of the things that are in the park are free. Most of them, yeah.
Very good.
So one of our special events is Tree Philly, and we hand out trees to various neighborhoods, and usually trees that are native to the environment, that are good for your environment. The Unity Cup is another one of our sports events. And then Love Your Park is an opportunity for anybody who can come out and show support for their neighborhood park by volunteering to clean it up or plant or what, things like that.
That's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Can you tell us any unique things to you about the Fairmount Parks?
Unique things to me. I have an affinity for the Rocky statue. I don't know if that's too weird, but when I was during my training, we were at the steps of, I think they were filming Rocky 2 or 3, and we almost got scooped up, and we were almost in extras for the movie. So, but we obviously weren't. And then I got stationed at the event where he dedicated the statue at the bottom of the Art Museum steps. So I got to see him again, and I kept having these times where I'm like running into Rocky. And so, so that's kind of like a fun thing for me. I have an affinity for that Rocky statue. I played the Rocky theme at my wedding.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, because I don't know what it is. I just like that whole thing.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Did you run up the steps with your husband?
No. Didn't do that. I should have done that.
I understand there's a tree climbing, a new tree climbing facility.
There is, I can't remember the exact name of it, but it is in West Park. It is over by the Johnson tennis courts. It is off of Shimoni Drive. And I believe there's another one that they're setting up over in East Park by 33rd and Diamond, like over by the disc golf range. So.
And there's also a skateboard park.
Yes.
And that's by the Art Museum, correct?
Yeah, the true skateboarders don't really like it. They did not want to let go of Love Park. So the one that was designed, where they could go with permission is off of the side. But a lot of skateboarders prefer to go under FDR Park where they built their own course and they just keep adding on to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I understand that you guys help with a fishing game or a fishing boat with stocking of the creeks.
Yes, that's a big deal in my district in the Pennypack. They stock other places, but in the Pennypack is really eventful. The neighborhood, they all come out and they participate. And we just recently had them, they just stocked last Thursday because Saturday was opening day. Everyone came out. It was great. Good weather. It was a good time.
Well, I know there's just being up in that way for such a long time, people really look forward to that fishing. Mm-hmm. And you have all ages there. Yep,
it's a big deal. And if we're not on time to open up the gates to let them in so they can park and get their spots, we hear about it. They let us know.
Well, they're eager. All right, we're going to take a short break so you can get behind the scenes look on how the creeks are stocked with fish. Then we'll be right back with Monica Hicks with the Park Rangers.
I'm Officer Erin Check. I'm a Waterways Conservation Officer with the Pennsylvania Fish and Boat Commission. I've been assigned to Philadelphia and Southeast Montgomery County for 24 years.
I'm State Rep Ed Nielsen, the 174th Legislative District, right here, right along the Pennypack. What we're here to talk about today is Saturday, opening day for trout season.
8 o'clock, people can start fishing. All along the stream, we stock Pennypack, 9 miles of Pennypack from Larmer Park all the way down to Frankfort Avenue.
Do they tell you how many fish they stock?
An approximate number, I would say, for Pennypack is anywhere between 8,000 and 9,000 fish.
What kind of trout we got coming?
There's rainbow and brown trout.
Now, how do you do the mixture? Just potluck, whatever you just fish out?
Oh no, there's a specific amount set up that we're going to bring down here. It's mostly rainbow.
Okay.
Full brown trout in there. There's also some bigger fish, we call them broods. There's also golden rainbow trout in here.
Oh, you have golden ones too. Nice. And they're all very active, which is good.
That is really good.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. There's a nice one. So some kid, hopefully a 12-year-old kid, will catch that by Saturday. It's another 25 fish for the kids to catch. We're going to feed a lot of families this Easter season, it looks like.
We might.
Because some people take them home. Me, myself, I fish, but I like to catch and release. And and let them go so someone else can catch them, because it's more about the kids, not about the adults, I always say.
It's awesome to be able to provide this opportunity for people. It's a put and take fish, but we create fishing opportunities for anglers in the city of Philadelphia.
That's why I try and do this, because people don't understand the resources we have right here. And I mean, we even have senior programs, vet programs.
Correct.
This is accessible to everyone.
Yep, it is. And it's very reasonable. The cost is reasonable. You can fish for a whole year with a fishing license, so yes.
Well, I hope they go out and buy them. We need them.
Yep.
Okay, because that's what helps us put these fish in the water. Officer Check, thank you so much for all you do for our community.
No problem.
And making our waterways safe, and we're looking for a great season.
Yep.
Thank you for all you do.
Thank
On behalf of my kids and everybody else's.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome back to Protecting Our Community. I'm your host, Bryan Coyle. I have Park Ranger Monica Hicks with us. Welcome back.
Thanks.
So, Monica, we have we heard about the stocking, okay? But I understand, you're law enforcement.
Right.
So we do have problems in the park. So if you could share with us and the viewers the problems that we have in our parks.
Right, so a lot of the problems that we have in our parks kind of stem around a lot of, we have homeless people. It's not that it's against the law to be, homeless, but you're not allowed to sleep overnight in the park. So sometimes people who are homeless who stay in our park, sometimes they may be opioid addicted. So we have an issue with people living in the park. They trash the park, they leave needles around, and it becomes a health issue. Sometimes it can be uncomfortable for people. And then sometimes if the weather is poor, we're concerned for their safety as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, you have a lot of people, kids,
Right.
pets walking through the grass and the woods and all, and we just don't want them to get stuck.
Right. So we do our best to support them. We do have an outreach agency that we work with through the city of Philadelphia, and we call and they'll come out and they'll try to convince them to go to a shelter and try to get them some support. But they don't force them, but they offer it to them.
So what other kind of problems do we have?
Some of the other problems we have are like littering. A lot of people like to dump things in the park because they just assume that the city is going to clean it up, and they will clean it up. It's just not the place for it because it harms the environment, and it's an eyesore. And the people work really hard to keep the park clean, and it's not a dump site. So, it's.
I remember one night we were involved. There was the Pennypack concert going on.
Right.
And we came across a baby raccoon.
Right.
And the baby raccoon got his paw stuck in a soda can or a beer can.
It was
it just tore all the flesh off that poor thing.
It was really sad because I worked really hard to catch it, and I really wanted to help it, save it. And unfortunately, they were unable to. They had to put it down because of the infection. It was just it was a baby raccoon, it's like you said, and it had cut down. Like he had been moving around with this can stuck to him, and it just kind of went down to his bone. And they were unable to save the raccoon, and that's just because somebody decided to dump their trash by the creek. And the raccoon smells the food, and he investigates, and now because someone was irresponsible, the raccoon had to die.
Yeah, that's a shame.
Yeah.
I understand you still have problems with people wanting to swim.
That is like our nemesis, people swimming in the creek. And around that, people swim in the creek. The creek is polluted. Raw sewage pours into the creek. This is an example. This is actually at Frankfort Arsenal, and you're not allowed to swim. And if Erin Check saw that, she would definitely not be happy. But people, and it's like the thing that happens, like we moved them from the creek, and then they came to the Frankfort Arsenal. So it's like they kind of move around, and it's dangerous, it's polluted, and they don't seem to care. So we just have to kind of, and this one is Devil's Pool. That's like a notorious swimming hole in the Wissahickon Creek Park. And we've seen people break their necks jumping off of this rock, and we have to walk the fire department down to get to them. And the people are, after the guy broke his neck, people are still jumping in. And people come from New Jersey, and this is a good example of police officers. We often have to get backup from the police officers because as rangers, we have limited authority. We don't carry guns, we just have a radio. We don't really have the power to confiscate or detain people. But, so we rely heavily on the police officers. So, but what I was gonna say about that picture is that people come from New Jersey, New York, they come from all over just to swim in our creeks. For some reason, they think it's the thing to do.
I've noticed that. I noticed people coming from, especially outside, coming in and they're littering the parks.
Yes.
And there's trash in the woods, there's trash in the creeks, and then our wildlife are nibbling at it, they're walking in it, and they're getting all tangled up in this trash.
Right. So what we had to do, our commissioner partnered up with the police department, and we have these target enforcements in our trouble spots throughout the city. And it usually runs from like May to Memorial Day to Labor Day. And we kind of sit in the location and we have backup from the police and we shut down trails and we don't allow these people to bring in the things that they bring in because they bring in charcoal. They just start fires all along the creek bed. They leave behind beer and glass, playpens, diapers, like it's just disgusting. And then our grounds maintenance crews have to clean up tons and tons of trash, you know, over the summer. So once we partnered up with the police department and had these target enforcement locations, things have gotten a lot better in most parts. Some parts are still a little troublesome, but in the Pennypack, because of the cooperation with our 8th District police officers and our 15th District police officers and our 2nd District police officers, we've been able to make a difference.
That's great. I saw one of the pictures. You have a picture of a little baby possum.
Yes, that happened at one of the concerts. We have the Pennypack Music Festival. So one of the promoters, he had this baby possum in the back of his house and he gave it to me. And she was very cute. And I ended up taking it to Philly Wildlife Metro Clinic over in King of Prussia. And they nursed the little raccoon back to health. And but yeah, that's the fun part of the job. That was actually fun. I enjoyed that. It was cute.
Well, that's good. I'm glad you are having some fun.
Yes.
On the other side, helping the wildlife out.
Right.
We have a list of rules, and there's a nice long list of rules with Fairmount Park. I'd like to go over them with you.
Okay. So you're not allowed to smoke in Fairmount Park. That's fairly new. It's hard to enforce that one, but it does impact the wildlife when people leave their butts cigarette butts on the ground, and also people who have breathing issues. It's not good for young ones.
People are there to exercise.
Right. So there's no swimming except at authorized pools, and skiing is not allowed. A lot of people like to cross country, but it's not something we condone. Skateboarding and skating only in prohibited areas. In areas where you're allowed to do that. You're not allowed to camp in Fairmount Park. They don't endorse, they don't allow people to sleep overnight. And we like for people to keep their pets on leash because you need to keep your animals under control in the event that something happens. We often have people who have their dogs get into fights. We've had dogs killed by other dogs. We've had people thrown from horses or bikes because they didn't keep their pets on a leash. We also have a curfew that we enforce. The curfew just went to 9 p.m. In the winter, it's a 6 p.m. curfew and we lock the gates. In the summer, it's a 9 p.m. curfew. And then we lock the gates. Some of the other things we enforce are you're not allowed to metal detect.
Okay.
So that's another one. You're not allowed to golf. Like there's places to do these things. Well, some of them are common sense.
So with all these rules, what other law enforcement agencies do you work with alongside with, either in the park or outside of the park? We
work with a lot of different agencies. We work with the police mostly. We work with the Game Commission. We work with the Fish and Boat Commission. We even work, I work with you through the Police Explorers at the Pennypack concerts. Now this agency is a place that was modeled after our program, and that's the City Line Avenue Bike Patrol. Back in the day when I was a ranger, we were not allowed to drive. Okay. So we were going up and down City Line Avenue, and at the time there were some break-ins and robberies. So they saw us and they asked about our program, and that's how they established that. Because we were just going to Wendy's, just going to lunch, and then they set that program up.
Okay.
Yeah.
And any other agencies? Don't you work with the Center City also?
Well, they were used to be kind of like our cousins. We used to be more closely related, but now we've kind of not the same. But they're also modeled after our program. When that was the same thing, we were because we used, like, again, we didn't have vehicles. We had to walk everywhere. So we would walk from square to square, and the business owners saw us in uniform answering questions and talking to people, and they thought it would be good to have that in Center City. So that's how the Center City District got started.
Now you have a core of volunteers, civilian volunteers that come into the park and they help clean up, correct?
Right. We rely heavily on our friends groups, the Friends of Pennypack, the Friends of Wissahickon. There's too many to name. But because we are short-staffed as rangers and our department is short-staffed, period, we rely heavily on our volunteers to help us take care of the park.
Okay.
Yes.
So you could use as much help as you can.
Yes, we could.
And every average person that going into the park, if they're going in to enjoy the park, clean up after yourself.
Right, exactly. And also, just to promote the park also, like let other people know how great the park is, and bring your family and explore other parts of the park, not just in your own neighborhood, but also go to other places to see what those other parks are like.
Well, it's a lot of great stuff, and I know the Fairmount Park Department of Rec has a lot to offer.
Definitely.
A lot of events for all ages.
Right, definitely. And that's something that they pride themselves on, because they realize our role in the city is to not just provide places to exercise, but also places to make memories, and also to leave it for your children,
Well, Monica, thank you very much with all that information. If you'd like more information about Fairmount Park and Recreation, please visit their website. If you have any problems or concerns in the park, contact them by phone at 215-685-0144. I would like to thank Monica Hicks for joining us today, and you, the viewers, for tuning in and being part of the solution with protecting our community. So until next time, remember, protecting our community is everybody's business. Keep those eyes and ears open.